Sometimes I still see their faces, the men I served with.
On nights as still as this one, stories have a way of rising from the quiet, especially the stories we've spent a lifetime trying to leave behind. This is War Echoes from Midnight Action Stories, where memories long sealed inside old soldiers begin to breathe again. And tonight, in a small room warmed only by a fading lamp, an aging veteran sits alone at his wooden table, steam curling from his cup. After more than 50 years of silence, he is finally ready to open a door he has kept locked deep within his heart, a door that leads back to Vietnam. His name is Thomas Delaney, Tom to the few who still remember. For nearly 6 decades, this battered lighter resting in his palm has been his reminder that he walked out of a place where many never returned. 2 small letters scratched into its metal frame carry the weight of an entire lifetime. They belong to the friend who vanished beside him in a jungle no map could truly capture. Secrets that last this long are rarely chosen. They are inherited, carried because someone else never made it home to tell their part of the story. Tom is nearly 80 now. His steps have slowed, his breath has grown shallow, and the house he occupies feels too large for one man. To the neighbors, he is simply a quiet widower with a habit of keeping to himself. But they do not see the moments like this, when he stands by the window at dusk, looking past the tree line as though expecting a familiar silhouette to step out of the dark. The war took many things from him, but the one thing it never returned was the truth of what happened to his closest friend. Tom's entire life seems tucked into a few fading relics: a helmet bleached by the sun, a photograph of Echo 4 worn soft at the edges, and medals whose shine has long surrendered to time. He rarely speaks of Vietnam, but there is a look in his eyes whenever the subject surfaces, a quiet mixture of pride for the brothers he fought beside and the lingering ache of something left unresolved. Even after all these years, the past has a way of sitting beside him like an old companion he never quite asked for, yet never managed to escape. Some nights, when the house settles and the wind shifts, Tom reaches under his bed for a small wooden box he has kept hidden since the day he came home. Inside lie the relics no one else has seen: a scorched fragment of a map, a strip of red cloth hardened by mud, and the dog tags of men who never boarded the return flight. But what holds him longest is a small folded note, its edges worn thin from years of being opened and closed. The handwriting belongs to Mick Carver, the friend whose absence still fills every quiet room in Tom's life. The moment Tom touches that worn piece of paper, the sounds begin to return, soft at first, then unmistakable. The hum of insects beneath the canopy, the thrum of a helicopter fading into cloud, the weight of wet soil swallowing every step. Memories don't rush back, they drift toward him slowly, heavy as the evening air in the jungle. And woven through the echoes is a voice he has heard in dreams and silence alike, Mick calling his name from somewhere just beyond the light, as if still trying to find his way back. Tom knows he is running out of time, and secrets, if carried alone for too long, begin to fade with the person who holds them. Tonight, he chooses not to let that happen. He chooses to speak, to give shape to a truth he once feared no one would believe. Because the night Mick disappeared in the jungle, Tom witnessed something he could never explain, something the official reports never mentioned, something that followed him home in silence and settled into the spaces of his life. And that moment, that unspoken truth, is where this story truly begins. When the memory opens, the jungle appears just as it did in 1968. Not the one from movies or dusty textbooks, but the living, breathing maze we walked into as boys. Mist clung to our faces like a second skin, and the sunlight barely pierced the canopy above. Every step felt claimed by the earth, as if the jungle itself decided who was allowed to leave. For Echo 4, this wasn't just terrain, it was a world we had to survive, one morning at a time. Echo 4 was 7 men, young, exhausted, and carrying more than just packs on our shoulders. We marched in single file, sweat soaking through our uniforms, the smell of wet soil and gunmetal settling into everything we wore. No one spoke it aloud, but we all knew every sunrise could be our last one together. Each step forward felt like a quiet promise that if one of us fell behind, the rest would not leave him there. Our mission that morning was simple on paper: check a relay station that had gone silent overnight. But nothing about the air felt simple. The map in our lieutenant's hands was wrinkled and rain-stained, and the path ahead cut straight through a stretch of jungle where 2 other squads had already reported trouble. We didn't know it yet, but that patrol would become the moment that split our lives cleanly into before and after. Before we stepped off, a Huey thundered overhead, its rotor wash shaking the leaves like a warning. We watched it fade into the clouds, carrying men to a fight somewhere far louder than ours. When the sound finally died, the silence that followed felt unnaturally sharp. No engines, no orders, just the weight of the jungle pressing against our ears, reminding us that from here on, we were on our own. The deeper we pushed, the more the jungle changed its scent, from morning mist to thick mud, from damp leaves to something metallic in the air, like heat bending around steel. My boots sank into the wet ground, and I remember thinking the earth felt almost possessive. In moments like that, a soldier doesn't fear gunfire. He fears the sensation of being watched by something ancient, patient, and perfectly silent. What kept me steady was Mick Carver. He walked just behind me, tapping my shoulder every so often, a quiet way of saying, "You're not alone." Mick had a smile that calmed an entire squad, the kind that made you believe we'd all make it out no matter what waited ahead. I didn't know then that the smile he gave me that morning would be the last one I'd ever see. We reached the area marked as a signal dead zone. Even before anyone said it, we all felt it. The forest had gone unnaturally quiet. No birds, no insects, just a heavy darkness spreading beneath the canopy, tightening around us like a warning we couldn't interpret. Mick glanced at me, this time without a grin, just a small nod that said everything. He sensed it too. Something ahead was waiting, and none of us were ready for what it would be.
You're listening to Midnight Action Stories, thrilling crime tales after dark. If you enjoy these late-night missions, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your questions or theories in the comments below.
It was around midday when our PRC-25 began acting strange. Not the usual static, not weather interference, but something that sounded almost shaped. A warped voice drifting through layers of distortion, rising and falling, like someone calling from underwater. Every man in the squad froze. In the Vietnam jungle, any sound can be a trap, but this didn't feel like a trap. It felt like something reaching toward us from somewhere we had no name for. What chilled me wasn't the strangeness of the voice, it was the familiarity. Through the static, I heard a tone I had known for years. It sounded like Mick. I turned to look at him, standing just a few steps behind me, his brow furrowed in the same confusion I felt. Hearing a man's voice through the radio while he is still breathing right beside you, it does something to your spine that never truly leaves. Then the jungle changed. No wind, no birds, not a single insect. The kind of silence that feels manufactured, as if the world around you is holding its breath. Each step echoed deeper than the last, until it felt like we were walking inside the lungs of something waiting. Even now, when I close my eyes, I can still hear the weight of that silence, heavier than any firefight I survived. What happened next lasted only seconds, but those seconds own me still. I looked back to signal Mick, and the space behind me was empty. No cry, no footstep, just his helmet lying gently at the base of a tree, as if placed there by a careful hand. A soldier can fall, but a helmet never lands without a sound. That silence told me everything. Something had taken him, and it wasn't anything we were trained to face. Before we could react, a pale blue glow rose between the trees, not flickering like a flare, not sweeping like a flashlight, but drifting, steady, unnatural. The glow curved around the trunks as if it had shape and intention, and inside that haze, I saw a silhouette about Mick's height, familiar enough to freeze me where I stood, and wrong enough to stop me from calling his name. Then the radio cracked alive, not with static, with breathing, panicked, ragged breathing, and then Mick's voice, but twisted with a terror I had never heard from him. "Tom, don't come!" The message cut like something had torn it away. Mick was the bravest man in Echo 4. If something could frighten him like that, it wasn't an enemy we had ever trained to face. When the light finally died, the jungle returned to its normal rhythm, but Mick didn't. We searched until the shadows swallowed the day, holding on to a hope we already knew was gone. All I found was his lighter, half buried in the mud, like a final breadcrumb. I knelt, picked it up, and felt something inside me shift, a weight that has stayed for the rest of my life. War takes men in many ways, but losing someone like that is a wound that never learns how to heal. Years after the war, I thought everything had finally settled. But one winter afternoon, a small brown parcel showed up in my mailbox. No return address, no note. Inside was a cassette tape, warped and sun-faded, as if it had survived a lifetime of weather. I stood there on the porch with the cold biting my hands, and I knew whatever was on that tape had waited a long time to find its way back to me. That night, I slid the tape into an old player my wife once used for music. The click of the button echoed through the empty room. For a moment, nothing. Then the softest hum rising from decades of dust, and beneath the static, a voice I hadn't heard since the jungle swallowed him whole. Mick. Distant, fragile, like he was speaking through a wall time had built between us. The message came in fragments, footsteps, metal clashing somewhere far off, and Mick's breath breaking between words. Then came the part that hollowed me out. "Tom, if you hear this, don't trust." The sentence tore apart mid-word, as if someone had ripped the recorder from his hands. I didn't know who he wanted me not to trust, but I knew one thing with absolute certainty. Those were Mick's last words. I listened to that tape dozens of times, leaning in, trying to pull meaning from the distortion. Sometimes I thought I heard shouting, other times the screech of metal moving where no metal should be. But nothing was clear, only the sinking realization that Mick's death was no accident of war. He had discovered something, and whatever it was, he feared it more than enemy fire. When I close my eyes, I still see that moment, the jungle tearing open with pale blue light, Mick's silhouette drifting away from me as if the forest itself was pulling him deeper. I remember running, my boots slipping on mud and roots, yet every step only pushed him farther out of reach. War steals many things, but nothing cuts as sharply as the moment you realize you're losing someone in a way you cannot understand. Now, whenever I hold Mick's lighter, I don't just remember him,
I remember that unfinished warning, don't trust. Don't trust who? Don't trust what? The answer never came, only the weight of his silence settling onto my life like another shadow I had to carry. And sometimes, the heaviest part of memory is knowing you missed the last chance to save someone who believed in you. When the tape stopped, I sat in the dim room without moving, as if the silence around me had turned solid. Years don't wash memories away. They simply press them deeper, etching their weight into every line on your face. At my age, you learn there are burdens that don't fade. They only become clearer when you no longer have the strength to outrun them. My memories aren't sharp images anymore. They're shadows stretching across this wall, faces frozen in old photographs, laughs that never made it home, promises left unfinished. I touched our Echo 4 photo, those young men who once believed they were unbreakable. But war doesn't honor youth or certainty. And sometimes it isn't age that makes a man old, it's what he carries. In battle, we fear death, but living long enough to remember it alone, that's the heavier fate. Every night I stand at the window, watching the dark settle over the tree line, and I wonder whether those moments were real, or just the fading dreams of a tired old man who can no longer separate memory from nightfall. Then I looked at the cassette again, its tiny light blinking like it still had something to say. Mick didn't send it to haunt me. He sent it because the truth hadn't died with him. Don't trust. That unfinished warning wasn't a farewell, it was a task, a reminder that my role in this story isn't over yet. I held Mick's lighter, and for the first time in years, it didn't feel like a wound. It felt like purpose. The fallen can't tell their stories anymore, so the living must carry them forward. Maybe that's why I survived when he didn't. Maybe that small piece of metal stayed intact so I could do the one thing Mick couldn't, see this truth through to the end. I closed the wooden box, but not to bury the past, to prepare for what comes next. War took much from me, but it left one thing behind, a reason to keep walking, even if the road is short. It's time to face the memory, not just live alongside it. I stepped onto the porch and looked up at the night sky. I'd seen this same sky decades ago, from a jungle half a world away, with fire all around and death inches close. Tonight it's quiet, but its message is the same. Memories aren't meant to be outrun, they're meant to guide us. And somewhere under those dim stars, Mick's story is still waiting for me. Sometimes I imagine Mick standing beside me, grinning, telling me not to overthink it. But I know better. Even if he vanished into that strange light, even if war never returned us to us, he's not gone. I hear him in the wind, in the silence, in every step I still manage to take. His last unfinished words weren't an ending, they were the beginning of what I must finish. The war ended long ago, but its echoes never truly stop. Some memories rest, others demand answers, and a few become promises we are bound to honor. As I closed the door behind me, I felt lighter and more determined. The next part of this story won't be told out of grief, but out of loyalty to a friend who went ahead of me.
You're listening to Midnight Action Stories, thrilling crime tales after dark. If you enjoy these late night missions, don't forget to subscribe, hit the bell, and drop your questions or theories in the comments below.